Hey, hey. Hi, guys. All right. So, first off, Cancerians. We passed through that 1111 portal, and I want to go ahead and first, before we get going into any of this, I want to go ahead and do a quick little 1111 portal message for you guys, simply because that happened to fall on what? Sunday, and you guys get videos on Saturday and Tuesday. I was trying to still squeeze you in on Sunday, and honestly, Aries wasn't having it. He was done. He wanted me to stop. So, yeah. So in any case, he disrupted an ophiuchus video so bad at the end of the night that I was like, I cannot possibly make him wait through one more. So, with that in mind, you guys didn't get an 1111 portal, but that 1111 portal was not just the energy of the moment. It's the energy, at least this is how I look at it. It's the energy of stepping through a gateway and asking, like, what is the wake up call? What is the moment where there's like, oh, these would be the things that if I integrated them into my life would make my life better. So I want to just start with that, and then we'll take a look at love life. But we have the devil, we have the Seven of Swords, and we have the Two of Cups. So first off, for an 1111 message, the energy that, obviously we've already passed through, but the thing that might have changed and might be impacting Cancer's life for the better could be the discernment to know when something is, lust and even obsession versus genuinely love, where it's unconditional and I love this person, I'll always hold on to them, versus I'm obsessed and I'm spying on them, or vice versa. Somebody who, like, oh, we cycle around to each other again and again, but we're always still causing each other distress and grief. Then we break up, then we still are, hooked on each other. But then, is that love versus what love actually looks like? Sometimes two people can love each other and life can take them in different directions, but there's still a kindness and there's still a, what, I'll always care about them. And I want them happy with wherever they are in this world. And I will always feel something for them, but it's not the toxic attachment. And I feel like Cancer has, like, pegged the difference between the two. That might have been the big realization. So they may have experienced both kinds of love in their life. One that was like, oh, that was, that was an intense connection, but it wasn't really a divine connection. Hi guys, nice to see you. It feels really lovely. It feels like if that's what Cancer learned to discern between, and they had that thought process, around the 1111 portal, look at that. It is totally giving them back their life force energy. It is making Cancerian feel more like grounded, more stable, more like, okay, my heart is actually okay now. I'm not starved for this person of my past. I'm not feeling like I have to be drained by a love story. In fact, ideally, a love story would lift us up because we'd be matching with somebody who brings a compliment to our life. It would be like, if you've ever worked on a project, let's say something very physical, let's say, I like gardening and stuff. So, at one point in time, I was building like a pretty significant retaining wall with these big, heavy, blocks, bricks. And, each one was like 35 pounds, and it was very physically demanding. Well, if you can take, and it was up a hill because, why not add some more energy? But if you have a second person who's also lugging those blocks uphill and then leveling and making the retaining wall, guess what? It gets a lot easier. When it's just you, it's more fatiguing. Ideally, a relationship would be where somebody compliments us, and when we think of them, they make us feel lighter. When we think of them, it puts a smile on our face, even if we're not necessarily around them or with them. If we can think, like, I loved that, that person was so great. I'm so glad I did meet them, whatever the outcome is. That would be something that's like, okay, that's when I know I love somebody, versus somebody where it was like, oh my God, it was so much more draining with them. It was like they were riding in the wheelbarrow while I was trying to get those heavy blocks up the hill, versus somebody who is helping me lift the heavy blocks and helping me build. And I think that that's what it's so intelligent that our Cancerian was able to discover the difference. And I think that this was their major, like, way to differentiate is, do I feel drained by them? Do I feel uplifted by them? Which is it? And I think that that was a thought process that will probably never leave Cancerian for the rest of their life. I feel like that's something they can now, ask themselves. I mean, not that all relationships can't be when we're upset with each other, that it can't feel draining. But if the net result is I'm always drained, it's always stressful, I'm always fearful of losing them, but then I lose them and then we fight and then we spy on each other and then we're back together and we fight some more. I don't think Cancer is going to do that. I think it's like if it drains my life force energy, that's not what I do, because that's not what my happiness would be. So that's a huge realization. In fact, I wish this wasn't just a Cancerian video, because that's such a great thing to ponder. But I love it. So brilliant job, Cancerians. So that's a great 1111 message. So moving forward, I do think that'll probably make our character have an easier time distinguishing, love from lust, or a relationship they want to keep investing in versus one that is like, oh, I think I should back off. Okay, but now let's turn our attention to what about Cancerian's love life? Because that's the storyline that I wanted to look at least for this first part of the week for each character. We got 2 sideways cards. We have a 9 of crystals, which is a 9 of pentacles. And then we also have the ace of crystals, so the ace of pentacles. And I always look at this as somebody who's got this invisible lipstick that they're holding up. This could be, we use lipstick to enhance, the color of our lips, right? Or in this case, lip gloss, maybe to, keep our lips, nice and hydrated. But both of these cards speak of potentially a new beginning and potentially being solo. Potentially. They're both sideways. There's a little bit of like, I almost feel like our Cancerian is just getting back to themselves right now. They're not saying, oh, I don't want a relationship. But in this snapshot of time, they might be saying, but I'm actually really okay with where I'm at. 9 of Wands. Yeah, there is still, I'm mostly healed, but not 10,000%. I have a little bit of a wall up, but it's a pretty low wall. Somebody with long legs could step right over that. That's like 2.5 feet. That's not much. So it does feel like Cancer is saying, when it comes to my love life, I may be single right now, and maybe that's good and proper for me at the moment. But if something came along, it doesn't mean that I would say no. It doesn't mean that I should say no. We have an 8 of Cups sideways. It also leaves a door open to a potential from somebody from the past. It almost feels like Cancer is they're neither going forward nor back nor side to side. They're just kind of like floating for a moment right where they're at and saying, maybe I'm looking for a sign about what direction my love life is supposed to take. Maybe I'm looking for a sign in general from the universe about the best thing to have happen. We've got that Sun card upright, and the Sun is, I actually think Cancer feels peaceful right now. Peaceful, aware that, let me just see what this next new day brings for me. Maybe it's let me see what happens in Year of the Horse. We'll shift to Year of the Fire Horse in February. So maybe it's like, I haven't celebrated the new year yet. I'm still wrapping up the past year because I go by the Chinese zodiac. So I'm still in Year of the Snake. It could be that Cancer is looking at it like that. And so they're looking forward to when I have the full wind up and I start the Year of the Horse, that's when I'll see what else is out there. For right now, I'm enjoying where I'm at. I don't see Cancer calling in a romance. I don't see Cancer pining for anything. I see them pretty stable. But this question is about Cancer's love life. So what do we have? We have a Page of Pentacles and it's sideways. We have the 9 of Pentacles again upright and the 5 of Wands upright. I'm starting to wonder if we're going to get any other message, because we keep seeing Cancer say, I'm really enjoying loving me. That is my love story right now. That is my love life. And I'm still thinking about things I want to do next. Does somebody want to come in and talk to me? I might let them in as like a friend, but I'm really digging this whole me thing right now. I don't see Cancer willing to dislodge their independence or their personal peace to let somebody in unless somebody would be a lot more impressive than a page. And that is not to be rude. It's just, I don't think Cancer is going to give up their solo energy for someone if they are like, I can already tell this person and we could have some laughs, but I don't see them as a long-term potential. I'm sorry, I just don't. Therefore, I don't really want to invest. We have Page of Cups, Seven of Pentacles. I keep seeing people that, like, I think people are going to filter into Cancer's life, and Cancer's going to say, would I rather be alone and drink a glass of wine by myself, or would I rather engage in having to play frisbee golf with this person for, a kind of a date? You know what? Actually, I'd rather go to my wine club and drink wine by myself and enjoy that than going out on a half-hearted date where I already know we don't have that much in common. Okay. Would I rather hear from an ex who comes in to say sorry, or would I rather take myself on a little day cruise and go do something else? Honestly, I think I'd rather pick me. Okay. I think Cancer is starting to get this image in their mind that, like, they're not picky. They're discerning in many ways. They have learned, look, I want to meet somebody that I can see has a whole bunch of growth already. I don't want pages. Pages are the beginning journey of figuring out who they are. I want somebody maybe older. I want somebody who's lived some life. I want somebody who's interesting to talk to because they've been different places. They've done different things. I would love to meet somebody who's, whatever, 55, and they've owned, 4 different businesses in their lifetime, and they've lived in 3 different countries, and they've worked in fields, and they were raised, whatever, raising cattle, and then they, started a business in, graphic design, and then after that they bought land and they opened a winery, or, it's just like, I feel like Cancer says, I need somebody with a backstory. I want somebody who's done some things. That's probably what I'm more intrigued by. Now, this is not to be all, like poo-poo on, the pages, but let's be honest, pages are the babies of the court. And so they're just toddling around and testing the waters, and they don't necessarily know what they want to offer. They're not even knights yet. They're not even action takers. And I kind of feel like for some reason, Cancer does tend to attract a little bit of everything. Sometimes pages, sometimes more mature people. I would say that's just because probably Cancer comes across as somebody approachable, kind, stable, loving, giving. I could see why, who wouldn't want to be around somebody like that? And so even people that might not be mature enough would feel comfortable, trying to hit on Cancer a little bit. But Cancer's like, oh, that's nice. Come talk to me in a couple decades when you got some life experience under your belt. No, I'm sure Cancer's not even going to be rude like that. They're probably just going to make everybody feel like they have value. But no, honey, I don't think I'm going to go out with you because, I've got some other engagements. And it's like, really, I just want to go home and like wash my feet. But I'm going to go do that instead of hanging out with pages. It just feels like Cancer is going to attract a lot of people because they're great. Because they make people feel seen, which shouldn't we all? I mean, I think that's a lovely energy. With the moon in the reverse and the Ace of Pentacles upright, we definitely see, I think Cancer is realizing, wow, I really have changed, haven't I? When it comes to my love life, dude, I will not sacrifice my independence to be with the wrong person. I don't want the wrong energy anymore. This is the whole new me. And I realize I'm making conscious decisions to say no thanks. Not unless you can intrigue me and there's something I can learn from you and there's more potential here. And until I meet that, I would rather stay single. 6 of Wands in the reverse. I don't think that Cancer is wanting to prop up anybody's ego. And I also don't think that they need their ego propped up. I think this is a Cancerian who's like, it's not about ego. If you're going to talk about love life, that's the one thing you don't want to bring in. Ego is the killer of love. Ego is why people fight and can't say sorry. Ego is what makes people, insist that they feel, like, oh, you've insulted me, sir, and then you storm out and you never patch things up, even though there was a ton of love there, but now nobody knows how to come backwards and, dial it down from, the supposed insult. So I think Cancer is spot on in saying, I don't bring ego to the table when I talk about love. That's the number one thing I don't want. You know, I think I can be really comfortable being single. And if I meet somebody lovely that I feel connected to, I could see building with them. There is somebody who maybe has not made themselves very known to Cancer yet, somebody who's standing outside of the doorway, or standing outside of you know, the we'll say the house, but I don't know that Cancer recognizes this yet. They're just still in this wonderful place of peace. But I think someone is going to be approaching Cancer that will be different than the other ones. This could be somebody that is much more stable. They've thought about this for a long time. Definitely thought about this for a long time. We've got the Hermit here. So Virgo energy. Bogdanka, good to see you. Lena Bora, hi, honey. Feel my soul, CDW, Diana, Rebel. Thank you, everybody. It's so good to see you. Bogdanka, I haven't seen you in a hot minute. Nice to catch you. With that Hermit, I definitely think this is somebody, talk about deep, somebody who has, if that's what Cancer said, is give me somebody who is interesting, somebody who has life, somebody who has thoughts, somebody who can share, ideas with me. Oh gosh, yeah. There is somebody approaching Cancer. Cancer has no idea about this person, and they are going to be extremely interesting because they've been on a, dark night of the soul. So that means they will know themselves very, very well. That means they've probably, why would you ever go on the dark night of the soul? Because you went through something. If everything is sunshine, rainbows, you know yourself well, and life is pretty perfect, you're not having those moments of like deep soul searching questions that challenge you to, figure out life and figure out who you are. So I'm going to say this person is just what Cancer had asked for. I want someone who has a better grasp of life. Death card, 9 of Wands. They haven't quite approached because they're actually at the tail end of some kind of healing that they've been doing. They're transforming. They're still very silent. For all I know, this is somebody that Cancer is aware of on the external edges of their life, but has never considered this person as a romantic individual. They wouldn't have made any overtures either. This would be someone that they could be a little bit broody. They could be somebody who's been gone for a while, kept to themselves for a while. This could be somebody like Cancer knew them a long, long, long time ago, but hasn't connected or communicated with them, in whatever, 25 years. This could be somebody, I knew them back in like middle school, but I haven't seen them in so many years. They have quite a life story. What's ironic is that this could be the person Cancer actually finds great happiness with, and they with Cancer. It's just that it's emerging really slow. It makes so much sense though, because Cancer needed some time to just be solo, and even to say no thank you to a lot of other just kind of lighthearted flirtations that they're not interested in, and really feel confident and like, I don't want anybody with a bunch of ego. And I will say the dark night of the soul is where we leave our ego. So I'm guessing that this person, this potential Hermit or maybe Scorpio, is going to be exactly the right kind of person for Cancer. But that all still is just kind of like coming into fruition. This is still slow moving. They're not quite in Cancer's life yet. And I think that's all for the best, because I think Cancer is just rocking the single life right now and loving their life. But there is somebody kind of, I'll say, oozing their way into Cancer's yard. I don't know if Cancer's going to meet them outside in the yard at some point first. That could indicate they're like a next door neighbor or something. But they're not altogether a stranger, but they're definitely not like an ex or a past lover. There's somebody, though, that I think Cancer will have kind of an immediate rapport with, like, wow, this person has some gravity to them. That's just what I was looking for. All right, you guys. Tracy, nice to see you, honey. Thanks for popping by. All right, everybody, I'm going to bounce on out of here and go back over to Regretless Life for a today's topic video. I send you guys lots of love. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. So awesome to hang out with you. All right, bye for right now.